Hello guys, from Pax Europiana here. This is Günther again, and I will show you some of these outskirts of Pristina. I'm now on the way from Gračanica. That's the southern municipality where the Serb majority lives. And here it's now the road towards Pristina. It's the first snow day, and not completely unexpected, it's really very crowded and there is a big traffic jam. And hopefully the new mayor, Mr. Perperim Rama, will fix some of these bottlenecks here in the city. But what I want to show you with this small video here is the enormous development which Pristina has made in the last years. I call it the Manhattan, like Frankfurt. It's maybe a bit exaggerated, but I would like to make the test. I would like to show you how enormously developed this city is now. Here, especially the southern suburbs, these are enormous numbers of new residential developments. And I know that, some people think everything is money laundering, but it's not. It's an emerging consumer middle class of the Kosovo Albanians who are buying flats, mainly with the money they earned in the remittances and also from the jobs they have now in an emerging economy. And also, obviously, what is so important, it's also the land which is transformed in property. That's the value which was stored for generation in the land they own. They have sold it. They then buy properties or work with construction companies to transform land on a kind of a barter deal basis for apartments. Normally they get 30% of the finished apartments for this one from the construction companies. So then you see this enormous residential development and the boom town Pristina is today. And I have to say it's really impressive. And the contrast between Gračanica and Pristina couldn't be bigger, because you see here really the care. There is a lot of investment, there is a lot of care. Obviously it's far from perfection, Obviously the snow must be cleaned, and obviously the streets must be cleaned, and obviously a lot must be still changed. There is no doubt about it. But when you see the contrast and when you know how it was 20 years ago, it's unbelievable, especially this part. Here you see also the city hospital and also this entry of Pristina here from the south. You see it in a very beautiful way and you are surprised. I just passed a very big hotel. Here there is another commercial residential development. I will check it out. And it's a typical boom town in the European periphery, and it is working. And it should be a NATO member and a EU member. And by the way, the model to have the euro was really absolutely an amazing thing here for this country, because you have security. And that, of course, matters so much. And here we are today. Of course, in a traffic jam, but see it as well as a kind of sign of prosperity, because everybody has a car now. And obviously, there is no way to afford public transport at that way by side buses. So there is no way to have a light rail or subways at this level of public investment, but and it will come inside the European Union. So again, it's my call. It's much better for all people, no matter which nationality, if Kosovo is in the European Union and NATO. And that is also confirmed when I talk to people here. It's very clear, no matter which nationality, everybody will live much better once Kosovo is in the European Union, in NATO, and is fully integrated. And obviously all this quite, look here, it's Schafberger. The family Schafberger has invested here in a cleaning company. Interesting. Good, that's the integration with the Austrian market, I guess so. And somebody maybe came back with that family name, or maybe an international investment in cleaning. That's also possible. I don't know the background of that one, but it's not the typical Kosovo name. Good. So we are here now in the outskirts. I will move onwards to the center. I will keep you posted on the center as well and show you the old Pristina, the new Pristina, and I will keep you posted on all these amazing developments which a European regulatory framework. That's the big difference to all the other countries in the Balkans, because in Kosovo, people like me, many of them, and I was just a very small part of it, but they have basically from the beginning here started with a regulatory framework which was European. Okay, some parts might be American as well. Here you see the whole of the city. in snow. I like Pristina in snow actually. I'm very happy that I'm here at the first snow day, whenever I will be late for my first meeting. But that's the reality you can hardly change, and you cannot really make a big fuss out of it when the reality is like it is. Good. You see that in all these houses, obviously somebody has invested. A normal apartment like this costs 70,000 euros, somehow between 70 and 100, I would estimate, a two-flat apartment, and it's sold. All of them are sold. And the market is moving, because there is trust in the future, there is trust and belief in the long-term security of this country, because here people know, of course, they will join NATO. They know that they will also be one day in the European Union. Just the longer it takes, the less progress we have, and the faster it is, the better we have it. And it's the big mistake of the countries which are non-recognizers, that they have never done it. Yeah? And again, I call on a repeated basis for Slovakia, Romania, for Spain and for Greece and for Cyprus, obviously to recognize, and then we can move on towards the EU and NATO. First NATO, obviously, and then the EU. It will take a bit more, but countries like Kosovo, who have from the beginning put regulatory standards from the EU in place, have of course the big advantage that the regulatory alignment with the EU is then basically just by the click of a button, because all laws are already EU compatible. Maybe not everything and everywhere, but these are minor adjustments which have to be made. And so basically the EU membership is just the press of the button and the political will. And here obviously we need the non-recognizers to get going, and that will be the case, and we will have this kind of very peaceful Europe, prosperous and fine, because we solved important issues which for generations and centuries were complicated, and like the Macedonian question, like the Kosovo question, these are centuries old questions, and we, with our institutional framework, which the Americans have built after World War II and which we have adopted and carefully kept after the end of the Cold War and during the Balkan Wars, it has not, we have not been really able to avoid all these conflicts, but after we have intervened, we could find a political settlement, and then obviously it doesn't work in weeks progress, but when you see in decades, you see the progress and you see the results, and that's of course amazing. And more to come. I will show you now more parts of the cities in various videos today, and I will keep you posted, and I can just inform you here, and this is unbelievable progress on all fronts, and it's quite impressive. And there is peace, and prosperity is a result of security and of good regulatory framework, good currency policy, and of trust in the future. Because it's not a miracle prosperity. Prosperity is people working for a better life, based on a secure defense and a stable working regulatory framework and a good currency policy. And Kosovo has all of this, so it shouldn't surprise you that there is so many amazing investments, because based on such a mix of NATO, Euro and EU regulatory framework, you can invest, and then things are moving on and you attract more investments, and that's the upward cycle of any economy which has the security of NATO and the prosperity of the euro, and then also the regulatory framework to invest. And that's what's happening. And more to come here from Pax Europiana on my first video today. Thanks a lot for listening.